So for the next part, we're downloading something new called Actions. And actually on that note, if you guys take a look at our schedule, we should technically be starting InDesign today. But this is one last thing that I wanted to sneak in before we leave this part of the semester. So what I want you guys to do is in this file folder, click on where it says Actions, and there's a zip folder. And on the far right side, if you see these 3 dots, go ahead and click Download. So 3 dots, Download. Here's those 3 dots again. And then once it downloads, what I need you guys to do, this is a little bit different than I think what you guys typically, at least for me, it's atypical. But go ahead and find that folder wherever you downloaded it, and I need you to right-click on it and click on Extract All. It'll essentially take it out of that folder. So you can see there's a little zipper on here, and when you right-click and go to Extract All, just go ahead and click the Extract button after that. It essentially takes it out of the zip folder and places it within that file. This is what it should look like for it to work for us. Everybody got that okay?
No. How do you extract?
So right-click on the zippered folder and go to Extract All.
Mine's not even zippered.
It what?
Mine's not zippered.
Sorry. Yours not zippered?
No.
Oh, go back out. Go back one in your folder. And now is it zippered?
Oh.
Yep. There you go. So let me show you an example of what we'll be working on today. So these are just some images taken from Google, but there is something called Actions in Photoshop, and essentially what they do, because we're not graphic designers, it goes through and basically Photoshops a whole bunch of stuff for you, and you kind of help it along the way. Let me show you a couple other examples. This one makes the more sense for our class, but a lot of photographers use Actions too. So you can see if you want to have sparkly images kind of stylized like this, there's an action for that. Here's another style. There's one that kind of cartoons someone. But a lot of people will sell their actions to get specific looks in their images. Now again, I chose this particular one because it makes sense for the drawings that we work with. So what we're going to do today is use this sketch art action on the photos that I've shown you. And again, I think it's a fun way to add some stylization onto a plan without having to go through and do a whole bunch of photoshopping on your own. You kind of sit back and let it go on autopilot. For this action, this is something that I purchased. It was like $7. So I want you guys to download it and save it at home. So if you ever want to use it in the future, you can. But there's a few things that you guys have to do before you start working on the action. And although I am recording this, I wanted to let you guys know that in the file, there is this quick guide of what you need to do. Not the best instructions, but it's just kind of like a good overview. So here it's saying that we need to download these a brush set, a pattern set, and then load the action. So I'm going to walk you through how to do that. And here it doesn't tell you how to load those. So that's kind of an important missing piece. Within this file that we just extracted, can you guys see that there are brushes and patterns and the action here? Okay, so that's where we're going to start. So here in Photoshop, the easiest way of doing this is to go to, give me just 1 second. I know it's in here somewhere. Oh, no, presets. There we go. Go to your preset manager. So edit, presets, and then preset manager. once you guys get in here, I'm going to show you guys where to start uploading stuff. Okay. So you'll go into this menu here. And I think, let me hang on just one sec. Are you guys following along okay? Okay, I think you guys are there. So you can see that the first preset is brushes. So go ahead and click on load. And then from here, you need to go find where you save that sketch art folder. So I put mine in our class folder that I have on my desktop. And eventually when you get into the folder, the only thing that should come up are the brushes. So once I find my brushes, I click on load. So again, I clicked load, I went and I found them. And then after brushes, we also need to do patterns. One good way to check is at the end of my pattern, see how I have this kind of like yellow glittery one? Now I'm going to click on load. I'm going to find that folder again, load my patterns, and now I've got about 6 more patterns after that yellowy glittery one. And one thing I also should have shown you is up here in brushes, at the bottom of my list, I now have architecture, sketch, art brushes.
Sorry, where did you go for preset manager?
It is under edit and presets, preset manager. All right, so just make sure you have those 2 things loaded. Carmen?
Sorry, my Photoshop froze.
Oh no!
Loading.
Carmen, you're a troublemaker. You're always freezing Photoshop. You know the routine. Do you want me to stop projecting? I'm going to go ahead and keep recording and projecting. You guys don't see me right now, right? Yep.
Can you repeat the whole going into preface and how to get all the things on?
Okay. Edit. Presets. Preset manager. And then from there, under your brushes, you're going to click on load. And do you see how the end thing on my list is architecture sketch art?
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have architecture sketch art, click on load, find wherever you downloaded it, and you'll be able to see the brush list there.
Oh, thank you.
And then do that thing one more time, but with the patterns. So in order for this to work, you need both the patterns and the brushes loaded. And again, don't forget, you'll have to do this whole process at home again if you want to use this in the future.
Thank you.
Carmen, how did that go?
Oh, it's working.
Okay,
It's good now.
good. Now for this next part, I want you guys to really just watch, just to see how it works, because it is pretty picky, but really you just kind of sit back and watch it do its thing. The most important thing is you have to have a background layer and then on top of it a brush layer, lowercase b, no exceptions. Okay, so here in my layer manager, I am going to unlock my background layer and then rename it background with a capital B. Make sure you spell it right, because if it's not spelled exactly right, it gets mad. And then here I'm going to go brush. Okay, it sounds like everybody's following along, so let me wait.
Are we supposed to do it? Or are we just watching?
I think most people are doing it, so you can go ahead and follow along. I appreciate the excitement. So make sure background has a capital B and brush is lowercase brush. Maddie?
My layers will show up.
They won't, I see them right there. Oh wait, no, that's my screen. So go to Window and then find Layers. They're on my side of the screen. There they are. Oh wait, no, was that me?
Yeah.
So go back on Windows and turn on Layer again. I swear it's one of those, right?
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. That was really confusing.
It was like right on top.
It was. That was crazy. What are the odds? Okay, now watch this part. What we're going to do now, I'm going to hit B for brush. I'm going to be on the brush layer. And I am going to go into my brushes. So I hit B for brush and then I right click to look at the different brush sizes. And why don't you guys do that too? And then just let me know if on top you see two brushes and one of them looks like this, where it's really soft around the edges. Do you guys see this brush? No? Okay. If you don't see it, click the first one. It's called the soft round. But make it bigger, maybe like 200 pixels. And then click onto your screen. And for me, even 200 pixels is still small. So above your enter key and just to the left, there's the brackets, and I'm making mine my brush size bigger. It doesn't matter what color it is, but we want most of the effect to go on top of this OC Tanner building. So I want you guys to just loosely draw and cover the OC Tanner building.
When I right-clicked on the brushes, it opened up to like a bunch of different folders of different brushes.
Okay, so go ahead and go. Mine should probably look like that too. Let me try to move this back up.
And then into general brushes?
Yep, general brushes soft round is the first one. So again, just a nice soft brush around the building. I feel like Bob Ross. Soft, happy clouds around your building. Okay.
Do we need to change the color?
No, color doesn't matter.
So it can be white?
Yep.
Okay. Oh.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Sure, I'll show you on the screen right here. So did you type in B for brush? Okay. And then right click on your screen and this menu pops up. Do you see this menu? Okay. So up top, there's the slider that shows you all of your different brushes. Under general brushes, it's the first one. It's called soft round. So you might have to click on this little arrow to expand it, but it should be the first one. Did you see it now? No? What's the first one? Read it to me. Is it general brushes? Now, do you see this arrow right here? Click on it so you see all the brushes. Good. And I am all the way up at 1400 pixels. Just FYI, that's how big I made my brush. Just to, not hurry, but just to be able to cover it quickly. Good. And then after you get your building covered, what we need to do is actually load the action. But before we can do that, we need to go up to Window and open up the Action menu. So this is a menu that we haven't been in before. And it might not be in your toolbar. I don't know where it's going to open, but mine is automatically docked over here. And I'm actually going to pull it down to my main one that I use. So here is my Actions menu. So again, Window, Actions, and it looks like it has a play button by it. So in Photoshop, it already has a few actions for us. I don't want you guys to do this part, so hands off your keyboards. What I'm going to do is just show you what it can do. So if I want a wood frame, I don't know what this is going to do. I'm going to click on it and hit play. Okay, fine. Don't give me a wood frame. Let's try one other one. Let's do sepia toning. So I'm going to click on that one and then hit play. And if you look at my history, see how it did new layer, stamp visible, desaturate, new hue saturation layer? It does all of that automatically for me. So that one's, pretty cool. I'm going to bump back up to my brush tool, but I just wanted to show you that there are some things already built in. What we want to do is load the architecture sketch art one. So do you see these like 4 little lines off to the side? Click on those. So again, click on that and go towards the middle to where it says Load Actions. And find the architecture sketch art action in that same folder. And then once you do, you should see it populate on this list right here. The only thing we need is this first one up top. So if your menu looks like mine, just hit that little caret. So you see the architecture folder and then the architecture sketch right underneath. Everybody got that okay? Okay. So this is the part where we all cross our fingers, pray, whatever you do, just to make sure that it works. Really, the only thing that we need to do now, before we do anything, everybody go to your layers. Is it brush with the lowercase b? Okay. Does your background, is it spelled correctly? Capital BACKGROUND. Don't forget the R or the O or the U like I did the other day. Make sure those are right. And once you think those are right, the only thing that we need to do is come down here and not on the folder, but right underneath the folder. So the second architecture sketch art, hit play, and then just kind of sit back and watch it do its thing. It'll just go on autopilot for a minute. So hopefully you can see what's happening on my screen. Yep, happy clouds. If at any point it asks you to do anything, like hit enter or do something else, it's not working. Something happened. It should just kind of be going through its thing. Good. This is great. In my architecture class, for whatever reason, half the class, they're like, it's not working. So, we'll see. Yep.
Mine said could not complete the color range command because of a program error.
Anybody else have that? Program error? What's yours?
The command select is not currently available.
Okay, so if it's command select, that means that brush or background wasn't named correctly. So close it and then start it over. So hit cancel to get out of it and then try to start it over for me. Everybody else good on autopilot? Okay. If you got any of those errors, cancel it out. But Maddie, with yours, I'm not sure why you'd be getting a program error. Close it out and try it one more time.
Okay.
And just double check to make sure that your patterns and brushes were loaded. Hello? Okay, good. This is a pretty heavy action. It does a lot. And so if you're working at home or even on the laptop, your laptop might have a hard time with it. But give it a try. Maddie, is yours done?
I think so.
Cool. Mine is not done. David, you got through it?
I think.
Cool.
I think it's done.
It looks like it's done. It's no longer going through the actions.
Also, I think the circle.
Oh yeah. Okay, mine is finally done. So ours all might look a little bit different, just depending on how we sketched it. So I know a couple of you haven't gone through it yet. Carmen, was yours able to process?
No, I'm doing it all over again.
Okay. All right. Megan, yours is still going through it? Oh, look at that timing. It just ended. Jing, you got yours to go through? Cool. And then what about you, Taylor? Good? All right. So for those of you guys who have it done, I'm going to go through some ways you can customize this. And I know this is subjective. I personally think it's really cool, and some people might be like, this is way too busy. I don't appreciate this. But I kind of like it. For those of you who are running through the process again, peek over at my computer every once in a while just so you can see what I'm going through. The rest of what I'll be covering is up in the Layers menu because it builds in a whole bunch of options for you. And I'm going to go through most of them. And the part about this part of the lecture that gets awkward is you guys love pushing buttons, and so I lose most of you. But if there's one that's really important, I'm going to be like, listen to me. So let's start up at the top with color options, okay? And the thing that's nice is they've kind of color-coded them. And so when I collapse this, did you notice that all of the purple stuff went away? And then when I expand it, they all come back. So what you can do is let's start under this one that's not clicked, black and white. If you click on that, it just adds another layer that changes it into a black and white image. That could be something that you're interested in. You could also, right underneath that, turn on a gradient. Now the best part about this gradient is double click on the gradient for me. And did you guys get this menu pop up? You can turn it into a rainbow. My favorite filter in Photoshop ever. Okay, or you can turn it off. Right underneath that is the overall tone. So if you kind of want to wash it with a certain color, by default it's kind of like this beigey yellow, but again you can double click on it and edit that color tone to match maybe whatever graphic that you're doing. Everybody with me so far? Okay. Let's see. Stephanie, Lamia, how's it coming? Any luck? No? Okay, I'm going to have to help you with that in just a minute. Let me run through some of these and I'll help you guys individually. So after that, let me see. The gradient, I have never been able to figure out. So even when I turn both of these on, let me really zoom in. Maybe it's just something I really need to zoom into. I don't see what this does. Maybe you can figure this one out. So for now, I'm just going to turn it off because I really don't know what it's doing. These overlays underneath this, the red menu, I typically turn these off just because I don't think they need it, but they're essentially different types of white paint splatters. And again, I usually leave them off because I don't think it needs it. I already think it looks artistic enough. So you can decide if you want the white splatter or not. And then once I turn something off, I just minimize it so I don't have to see all of those things expanded. And then for some of these, I'm going to zoom in, but I've got my white strokes, and when I turn it on, do you see how everything kind of gets outlined in white? Can you guys see the difference between that? So again, I don't think it needs it for this particular image. You can turn on one or both or either, it's up to you. But for this particular image, I'm just going to leave it off. Let me make this a little bit bigger. The perspective lines I absolutely love. Those are these lines that are coming off of it, kind of at a diagonal. So if I turn them off, I think you can see them better. But I tend to keep all of those on. So I've got some horizontal, some coming in at an angle, or you can turn them all off. That's the sketchy part of the action. Now the hatch lines, the easiest way to see them, just turn them all off and then turn them all back on. It's kind of the white pattern overlay. And right now I have 1, 2, 3, 4 different ones on. Again, you can play with it and decide which ones you like the best. The rest of them, I'll let you kind of play with on your own, but let me show all of you guys one more thing because I think it is pretty helpful. Let me figure out where the main one is. Background, no. Not here. Okay. Do you guys see a green folder called Normal Photo right underneath Hatch? So this is where you can control what you're seeing a little bit more. So when we first started, again, we all kind of brushed on a little bit differently. And do you guys see that just a little bit of my building is in color? I can go through on that mask, and by using the black brush, do you see how I'm pulling in more color on the sides of my building? And I'm using this crazy watercolor brush that comes by default. Right, so now do you guys see that the stairs are coming into view? Yeah. Similarly, I'm going to go through, and do you see how this building right here is really in color right now? I'm going to use masking to kind of get rid of that building. I don't want to see as much of that building. And at any point you can change your brush back to a standard brush. I'm just using the one that the sketch art one used last. Okay. So again, that's under your normal photo options. And there's one more underneath it called Normal Photo 1 and Normal Photo 2. You can decide which one you like better. Normal Photo 2 has a definite watercolor effect on it. Normal Photo 1 is less so. It's more of just like a dithered frame around it. Initial thoughts? Do you guys like it? Is it something you might use in the future? Good bang for your buck just to hit play. For those of you that did work, it's weird. I'm going to come back and help this little edge right here. Now, the other things that I want you guys to do is there's 3 more images here. And I want you guys to go through step by step, set up your layer, so background and brush, put your brush stroke on, and then customize each one of them using those layer settings I showed you. I'm going to come around and give some technical support to whoever isn't having luck. We'll see if we can get it running. Any questions before I hop in on those? Okay. So if you're having technical difficulties, the first thing I have you do is to reopen the file, and again, make sure that it's unlocked, background, and brush. And the capitalization, the spelling, everything has to be exactly like this. If you do that and it still doesn't work, the next thing that I have you do is to actually go into your actions and delete this folder entirely. So here's the folder. I take it down to the trash can, and then I just reload it one more time. So let's do load actions. I'm going to hit play one more time. Hopefully this one works. Yeah, this one looks like it's working. But those are the 2 things that I would suggest. And the one thing that I forgot to mention, you have to make sure that your patterns and your brushes are loaded. So for example, if you started working on this at home and you forgot to load your brushes, that would be a problem too. But it looks like this one might be working. Maddie, did yours finally go through? Okay, good. Lamia, and yours worked this time too? Good. Carmen? No? Shoot. Okay. Let me get to the end. Well, that one's going to take a minute. Let me come through and see what's going on with yours.
Okay, so you don't have to brush it, so hit load. And then find the architecture sketch art folder. Sorry, you have to double click in there. Yep, and then one more thing. And then find the brushes. There you go. And now hit load. Then see, now do you see there's action on the list? Okay, so now you have to go into patterns and do that same thing. Good. Okay, so now go ahead and try to run it again, and it should work. Because if it doesn't have the brushes and stuff, it just don't know what to do. Okay. You're welcome.
Let's see. So I've got some bonus content for today, but it might not be anything you're interested in. I'm just kind of a dork, as you guys have figured out by now. Where is my stuff? Okay. So I have found, where is it? I found some really fun sketch art or some other actions where you can go through and turn people. So this is my son's 3rd grade class. My husband thinks I've gone too far and I'm going to terrify the children. But you can turn yourself into a skeleton. You can also turn yourself into a witch. And then the other one is a zombie. This is my personal favorite. I think that, except my husband made me take out the eyeballs on the first few and then I ignored him. I'm going to show you what the eyeballs really look like. Like that. So, I think these are really fun, and if you guys are interested in them, I'd be happy to share them with you. The only trouble is I don't have, because we're on the free version, I don't have Adobe Cloud here, so I might have to run in my office, because I have it there, the actual version, because right now the only way that I can get to this stuff is not like that. So I was looking up how to download a folder. We need that zip file similar to what we had earlier, and I'd be happy to show you guys how to walk through some of these. And just like the sketch art, it is a little bit of a pain, but it does so much for you, except that this one in particular, the zombie, has a lot more steps where you have to stop and draw stuff and then hit play again, and then it stops again and has you draw like where the skin is, so it knows where like the diseased skin goes and where the eyeballs are. But since it's the class before Halloween, anybody interested in these? Yeah? Okay, cool. Let me run in my office. I'm going to download the actions and put them online, and I'll walk you through each one of these. So go online and find a selfie of your face, or take a quick one with your phone so you have something to work with. I'll be back in just a few minutes.